HK MR762A1. Blindingly apparent from the very beginning of this that it's a high quality bag. You get pillow pockets on top of pillow pockets and slots for range cards, topographical maps, scope charts, your Kestrel, whatever else you're going to be using. There's space for it. And then there's also an additional front pouch pocket up here that I can't seem to find the zipper to. There we go. So tons of room, extra space here, and space inside of here, and space inside of there. Tons and tons and tons of room. So, very high quality bag. On to the star of the show. This will be my first time actually taking it out of the bag. Before we do, let's see what we get with the rifle. Our proprietary 20 round HK mag. Wish they gave us more than one, but what are you gonna do? And much to my surprise, actually, they give us, I want to say these are made by Troy because they look so much like Troy's, but I don't want to be wrong. These are Troy's. So, Troy flip up battle sights from the factory. That's really cool actually, because I was prepared to rob one of my other builds for iron sights. So cool that I don't have to. I didn't know that they came with them now. So there you go. Not only good backup sights, but actually my favorite backup sights. They also give us, I'm actually going to leave this in the wrapper, an HK multi-tool. Actually no, I'm not. I'm going to use this rifle. So we have a Phillips head, flathead, Allens of multiple sizes. Cool. Operator's manual. I'm imagining this isn't operator's manual. I'm imagining this is probably going to be black and white, but yeah, it is. Laminated, high gloss. Looks great. Full, complete instructions on everything you could ever possibly need to know how to do. And just in case you don't actually bring one with you, they give you a shooter's log, which is pretty cool. Onto the rifle itself, I'm going to put this bag to the side. And as per my usual fashion, here's a painting overview. And the other side. So everything on this rifle feels extremely oversized, but in a good way. It feels like a very, very substantial rifle in hand. It doesn't feel like an AR-10. It doesn't feel like anything that you've ever held, unless you've held an MR762A1. They are very, very unique rifles. Proprietary mags, I think I mentioned that earlier. Just overall, really, really sweet looking rifle. So, proprietary charging handle. Geisley makes one. It's already been ordered and on its way. Overall, just very, very beautiful looking rifle. And again, it feels like an MR762. It's not really a rifle that feels much like anything that you would be used to. Battery of arms is obviously going to be exactly the same as an AR-10. Just everything is unique in its own way. Absolutely love the way that everything is completely covered by the machining. So you're not hitting anything on accident. Just really, really well thought out design. Obviously ambi selector. There and there. So with this rifle you will see that the takedown pins have a center detent. on both the front and rear, and you can't just push them out by hand. I'm not really that big of a fan of that, but at the same time they wanted to make sure that the rifle wasn't going to fall apart on you on the field. So in the buttstock, we turn this counterclockwise and pull it off. Storage compartments for batteries, and then we have these little rubber discs would keep it waterproof in theory. How well that would work, I'm not really sure, but in the back here we have, well, this is an Allen wrench, but the front of it kind of reminds me of a Zac tool or a handcuff key. And this is actually the tool that you use for your takedown pins. So with this tool, you press in on the takedown pin. Hear that click? It just released the detent. Now you can slide it all the way through. And if we look at the other side, you can see the detent that I disengaged. So for getting the takedown pin back through, you push until that first little click to hold everything together, and then put your tool back in. See that I'm pushing against a spring right now. So you engage that spring while pushing everything back through together. Realistically speaking, I see myself losing this tool much sooner than I do having the rifle fall apart on me. So in the field, you'd be able to find something to use to be able to push that through. For example, just any brass punch would work. Actually, let's see if that would work. Okay, so that went through. It works. I said brass, this is steel. Another thing too is I was kind of like, you might lose this. You know, you break it loose, you're running around, but it actually has to be turned a full 90 degrees. And if you go past that 90 degrees, it's not going to work. If you go less than that 90 degrees, not going to work. It has to be exactly 90. So I'm not really that concerned about losing it, though I did admittedly order myself a spare, because I have a certain proclivity to lose everything, and that would just be my luck. And you can see that this is held in place by the rubber of the butt plate itself, both there and there. Sorry, there and there. So it does take a bit of force to enact on. I don't see it being a problem, personally. HK and then MR on the bolt. It is also a proprietary bolt. There we go. So looking at the fire control group, you can see that it has a case around it, very similar to like the MCX, MPX, and I don't know, maybe your 17S's. So it does take a proprietary trigger, and that would be the Geissele HK MR762. Obviously this isn't the trigger it comes with from the factory, but the trigger that it comes with from the factory. So it is a 2-stage. It's actually a really decent trigger from the factory. I have no complaints at all. I mean, it, like every other trigger in the world, could be better. And Geissele is obviously my go-to for everything as far as triggers go. I am a fanboy. So that's the lower in all of its glory. Gigantic buffer. Super comfortable, extremely ergonomic, and very iconic grip shape. Looks like the 416, 417. Obviously it's a semi-auto variant of the 417. Really comfy. Really, really like this grip. Moving on to the upper. Everything's gonna look pretty similar, except for maybe the gas system and how big this handguard is. So looking at the bolt, it's very apparent that we're working with a very different gas system than your normal DI guns. Really, really cool design. And then this charging handle is actually just a little bit shorter than your standard charging handle. So again, Geissele makes a replacement for it, so all is well. Crazy, crazy design the whole way around. Beautiful finish on the entire rifle. It reminds me of, I don't know, if Noveskis were designed for military contract rifles. Just absolutely incredible, but, you know, beautiful finish as well. So really quick, because I can't show you guys working on guns, I'm going to put the sights on. Alright, sights are on. The only thing I would have changed is I actually really like the Troy sights that have the tritium front and tritium rear, but I'm just nitpicking at this point. The fact that they even gave us sights from the factory is pretty cool. QD swivels everywhere. This handguard isn't actually going to be staying on here. I'm going with the Geissele handguard. But overall it is a really, really beautiful handguard, even though it is like their own weird key mod thing. Normal key mod stuff, as far as I know, doesn't work on here. I don't really own anything in key mod, so I can't really test that theory, but this is huge key mod. So the Geissele handguard is M-lock, and it's gorgeous. So that's happening. So really quick, I am going to change the trigger. While I have it apart, show you guys the really unique camming system that's going on with the trigger mechanism. This is the factory trigger, or sorry, hammer. So, interesting to note, wanted to share it with you. Not the easiest of triggers to install, but at the same time it's not super difficult. Kind of wanted to show you how the selector works on these. I'm showing you something without saying something, if that makes any sense. So, yeah. Anyways, so this is obviously the Super Select Fire trigger from Geissele. It's a $450 trigger. Is it worth it? To be honest with you, I'm not sure. I've never shot the Super Select Fire trigger because I haven't been able to own one legally up until recently. So, we'll see. So another thing to show is the factory trigger, and it's just, I kind of feel like they made it more complex than it actually needed to be. So one of the things that I absolutely love about Geissele is they just, here, this is what you need. Like, knock it off, you're trying too hard. And they just make it work. So I don't believe I have to reuse this cage. And actually, don't worry YouTube, I'm not showing anyone how to assemble anything. I don't think that I can, because the rear part of the disconnector doesn't allow it to fit. Doesn't look like it, at least. Another cool thing worth noting, so you guys see that little spring right in the center there? That's actually retaining this pin. So when you put the pin in, it is captive. There is a slot in the center of this pin. Alright, so the center of this pin, you can see the notch, and that's held in place by that tiny little spring in the center. Just a lot of innovation goes into these triggers. Alright, trigger install is done. So once all is said and done, and you get the factory trigger out, it's exactly the same as installing a normal AR trigger. So one of the perks of this being a select fire trigger is if I manage to find a 3-position selector for this, I'll actually be able to run my drop-in autos here, which would be pretty cool to see this thing run full auto. So I mentioned in another video to you guys that I never used the Go Lube. I actually picked up a bottle of it when I started running more things full auto, and having used it in obviously the most demanding situation you could possibly put it in, it shined where others gummed up, got sticky, got tacky, caused a whole bunch of problems, puppy bark, and the Go Juice is honestly where it's at for me now. I'm a huge fan. After running my Maxim 9 at 1900 rounds per minute, which is blistering fast, just in case you were wondering, I've definitely changed my mind. This lube is freaking awesome. It can definitely withstand stuff that other lube, not going to mention any names, but Slid 2000. So where other lubes gummed up and got tacky on me, the Go Juice was totally fine. Full auto, semi-auto, you name it. So right there, you see the detent. So making sure that we are very empty. We are. Oh, yep. Show you guys the upgrade in the trigger. So take up, brake. Take up, and increasing pressure. You see my finger turning white. Boom. So it goes from like a 7 or 8 pound trigger to, I would say, right around 5, but extremely, extremely clean brake. So the burning question is going to be, would you choose this or would you choose a 17? I would choose this. So of my experience with them, and everything that I know of them, if you were to tell me that I had to grab one gun, head out the door, you know, fall of civilization is happening, without hesitation, this would be the one that I would grab. Predicated upon me having more magazines, that is. Magazines are, again, proprietary, and they're not cheap. So, if any of you guys have any out there, have any for sale, let me know. And actually, another thing too is a lot of you guys reached out to me after the fact of my P7 video, letting me know, hey, this is where they are, or hey, guess what, I have some. And I really appreciate it, thank you. So I'm calling on you, if you know of any place other than HK Parts, because I'm about to buy them out, that has any MR762 mags, please let me know. Anyways, beautiful rifle, super, super stoked to own it. So shooting video of this rifle coming very soon. I am actually currently nursing a concussion, and I have a raging, raging headache. So it's going to take me a little bit, though realistically I'll probably have a video out there in less than a week. Anyways, that's going to conclude this one. Super, super excited about this rifle. And as always, thank you guys for watching.